Walk free, or 5 years for robbery and a perjury case. Last episode, you defended Eddie Rourke. Now, you are Eddie Rourke. 1 case, 4 endings. Rewind the file. Most aren't your call. New here? 2 shop cameras and a 9-second phone clip caught the robbery. Hood, build, tattooed forearm, never a face. The shopkeeper, Coach Miller, and 1 customer each saw a different piece. Only the customer named Eddie after police showed her 1 photo. A warrantless search found a green jacket and unmarked cash. A motion to suppress evidence excluded both. 3 witnesses, 3 partial views. 1 identity problem. Eddie still took Grant's 3-year deal. That ending happened. The other 3 could have. An arrest takes 1 night. A felony case can take months. At arraignment, the charge is stated, you enter a plea, and the judge addresses release or bail. A preliminary hearing tests whether the case can go forward. Pretrial motions decide, often outside the jury's presence, what evidence the jury may hear. Every ending starts there. You did it. The price isn't settled. In California, second-degree robbery carries 2, 3, or 5 years. Low, middle, upper. 1 case, 4 outcomes. And most links aren't in the judge's hands.
4 roads out of my courtroom, Mr. Rourke. I control fewer of them than you'd think.
Believe her. 1 switch at a time. Switch 1, identity. The shopkeeper proves the register was emptied. Coach Miller proves the escape turned violent. Neither saw a face. This time, the customer never names you. On the stand, she cannot identify the man she saw, and the tattoo frame is too blurred for a unique comparison. With the jacket and cash excluded, Grant has proof of a robbery, but no substantial evidence tying Eddie to it. The burden of proof is the state's, and it couldn't lift it. After the state rests, your lawyer moves for judgment of acquittal. Mercer grants it. You walk. Freeze that ruling. What did Mercer just do? The state had rested. The jury had heard every prosecution witness, but it had not deliberated. Before the defense presented anything, your lawyer asked Mercer to stop the trial under Section 1118.1. Mercer does not choose which witness she believes. She gives the state's evidence its strongest reasonable reading and asks 1 narrower question. Could it still support a conviction? Robbery? Yes. Identity? No. The jury never gets the case.
The people can't appeal an acquittal. This case is over.
Why is that final? Jeopardy attached when the jury was sworn, before the first witness testified. Switch 2, the real timeline. Week is not empty. The shopkeeper, coach, and the customer each supply a different piece. The customer holds to her identification. None is decisive alone. Together, they could persuade 12 people. Now trial is a coin flip, and the losing side is years of your life. Grant puts 1 page on the table. Plead guilty to second-degree robbery, and the people agree to the middle term, 3 years. A bargain does not sentence you in a back room. Grant and the defense can put 3 years on paper. Mercer still has to review the agreement in open court. Until she approves it, 3 years is an offer, not a judgment. Your lawyer translates uncertainty into choices. Take the middle term now, or make Grant prove identity to a jury and face whatever sentence the law later permits. He cannot promise an acquittal. Grant cannot promise that Mercer will keep the deal. You choose predictability. In open court, Mercer makes sure you understand the deal and what you give up. A jury trial, waived. The right to confront the witnesses against you, waived. The privilege against self-incrimination, the right to remain silent, waived. She confirms the plea is knowing and voluntary, with a factual basis. Then, one word. The plea ends the guilt question without testimony, deliberation, or a verdict. If Mercer later withdraws her approval, you may withdraw the plea. If she keeps it, the sentence cannot exceed the bargain. That is what the deal buys. Not innocence, a boundary around the risk. This is the ending that happened. Switch 3. You say no. And in this version, Grant pulls the offer off the table. She's allowed to. Plea bargaining can lawfully reward the safe path. The Supreme Court has been blunt about that. But choosing a jury can never itself be treated as a reason to punish you harder. Lawyers call the space between those two numbers the trial penalty, not a formal surcharge for going to trial, the lost bargain, plus whatever sentence the law independently allows. And this road is rare. In fiscal 2025, 97.7% of everyone sentenced in federal court had pleaded guilty. 97.7. Flip it. In that federal data, only 2.3 out of every 100 were sentenced after trial. That is a federal scale marker, not Eddie's California odds. The trial path is the exception. You take the rare road, and it does not jump straight to a verdict. Jury selection, opening statements, then Grant has to build the case in admissible pieces. The shopkeeper authenticates the 2 store cameras and proves the taking. Coach proves the violent escape and describes the build and tattoo. The customer explains the phone clip and makes the identification. On cross-examination, the defense cannot erase those witnesses. It exposes the seams. Different colors, different heights, seconds of viewing, and one photograph shown by police. The defense calls that reasonable doubt. Grant calls it one man from 3 angles. Mercer tells the jury that direct and circumstantial evidence can both count. Neither kind wins automatically. The burden stays with Grant, proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Only after closing arguments and those instructions does the case leave the lawyer's hands. 12 strangers enter a room you will never enter. Phones away, no clock that helps you. You wait outside, measuring your life in vending machine coffee. 6 hours. But the robbery verdict answers guilt. It does not automatically authorize 5. For a non-prior aggravating fact, the law needs your stipulation or a jury finding beyond a reasonable doubt. Here, after the guilty verdict, the jury hears a second, narrower allegation. At the separate sentencing hearing, Grant argues that a true finding justifies the upper term. The defense argues mitigation. Mercer still chooses the term and must state her reasons.
The jury found the aggravating fact. Upper term, 5.
The bargain is gone. That is the mechanism, not 2 extra years for daring to fight. Last switch, the worst one. Same trial, one difference. One choice is still yours. You can remain silent, and the jury cannot treat that silence as proof of guilt. Instead, you take the stand. The moment you offer an alibi under oath, Grant gets a new target. Every time, place, and detail can be tested on cross-examination against the cameras and the witnesses. Your lawyer can advise you. The decision to testify is yours. Right hand up. The clerk administers the oath.
I was home that night. All night. Alone.
8 words. Under oath. Grant does not rely on one contradiction. Cam 01 has the tattoo. Cam 02 has the build. Coach has the shove. The customer repeats her identification. 4 imperfect sources collide with your alibi. The jury convicts on the robbery, same as branch 3. And the lie does not punish itself automatically. It becomes a separate case the state still has to prove. To convict, California must show beyond a reasonable doubt that you willfully stated as true a material fact you knew was false, its own charge. And if convicted, it's its own sentence, 2, 3, or 4 years on its own clock. Be precise. A mistaken date is not perjury. A failed defense is not perjury. The law even builds in a guardrail. Under Section 118, one witness's contradiction alone is not enough. But a knowingly false material alibi under oath? That can be. And before the robbery verdict is an hour old, a second file opens with your name on it. The ceiling of this ladder isn't a number. It's 5 years for the robbery, plus a brand new felony case that runs on its own. 4 endings. Freedom, 3 years. 5. 5 plus a new felony file. So what decided? 4 levers, and you watched each one work. The evidence. The one witness who could have named you never did. And the whole case died on a 5-word motion. The offer. Once Mercer approved Grant's 3-year deal, it capped your risk. Your choice. Table or trial. Truth or story. The 2 switches only you controlled. And the judge. Mercer confirmed your plea, weighed the aggravating fact, pronounced every sentence. Inside lines the legislature drew. Mercer pronounces the ending. She doesn't control every road that reaches it. You controlled some turns. The evidence, the prosecutor, and the statute controlled the rest.
Now return to the one ending that actually happened. The deal. The middle rung. The colloquy ends. Mercer keeps her approval. The gavel lands on 3 years. 2 deputies step in. The cuffs click. Out a side door. A holding cell under the courthouse. They call it lockup. Belt, laces, phone. Sealed in a property bag with your name on it. Then a corridor. Daylight for exactly 11 steps. And a white bus with wire on the windows. Engine running. 3 years, the judge said. But where do you wake up tomorrow morning?
Next time, your first 72 hours after sentencing. The gavel was the easy part. Subscribe. The bus is already moving.